security do we have? Have we seen? Anybody wants to give it a try?
Yeah, object level security,
Object level security,
field level security,
field level security,
and
and
record level security.
record level security. Where do we give object level security?
Profile and permission.
Profiles and permission sets. Great. Field level?
Same, profile and permission.
Same. Profile and permission sets. And where do we give record level security?
OWD.
That's very clear. Now we have seen what is a record level security in more details. So we'll see RLS in OWD is set to private or public read only. These are the two settings which makes a OWD restrictive. That means there is a security involved. If it is public read write, then there is no record level security, right? Because everybody can see everybody's record. Only if it is private, that means not only owner can see their own records, and public read only means only owner can edit their own records, right? So that is the two restrictive settings which we have. Now, what if my object is set to any of these one, but I want situations in which a few people should be able to collaborate with me and work on my records. So that means I have to bypass OWD setting for few people for situations so that they can work on my records. When I say my, I mean my own records, right? Or any user's own record. That means non-owner, giving permission to non-owner to see records, even if the OWD is set to private. And this is only for specific set of users for a specific situation. That means I will not go ahead and change OWD. So OWD change is not allowed because it's not for every users. Even if there is one user that should not see others record, then you have to set OWD to private. Simple. There is no other way out, right? There is no other way to give record level security except OWD. So now, what if I need to now open up my only own records to other people for specific situations? What are the different ways of doing that, and what is that called? It's called sharing. Okay, so record sharing. That means when the OWD is in private or public read-only state, at that point, I want to give non-owners some specific permissions. Okay, what are the different ways in which we can bypass OWD for specific users? Let's see one by one. There are many mechanisms in which you can do that. The first is manual sharing. Okay, that means a owner can share using a share button. Sharing button is there on every object. You can click on that and you can share to specific users. It's a manual way of doing it. We'll see this. Second is team sharing. Team sharing is not applicable for in all objects. Team sharing is only applicable for account, opportunity, case. Team sharing, through team sharing, it's a little more sophisticated way in which owner can share their record. Same, just like manual sharing. Manual sharing can be done on any object. Team sharing can only be done on these three objects. It is a little sophisticated way of sharing, where you can also give a role. This role is not the role which we'll discuss next. It is just the information that what is this person's what is this person trying to do when he's collaborating with me on my own records. It's just a information only field. It does not have any impact. Any questions so far? Manual sharing and team sharing? Both are done by owners. Third, now we are talking about automatic sharing. That means the manual way of sharing is gone. Now, how can I automatically share my records? Or that is done, automatic sharing, setting of or setup of automatic sharing is done by you as a system administrator. You will be responsible to do that. What are the different mechanisms? First is role hierarchy. What is a role hierarchy? You can set a role hierarchy in your organization. That means like CEO in the top, then VP sales, VP service. Oops. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So VP sales, VP service. Underneath is you can have like America sales manager, India sales manager, America service manager, India service manager, right? So there can be different roles in an organization. You can set that up. The benefit of role hierarchy is that you can assign a single role to any user. So every user will only have one role. You cannot assign more than one role. Just like profile, every user can have one profile. Similarly, every user can only have one role. So if you assign a role to any user, any record which is owned by that user will be shared to his boss and to his boss automatically. That means any user who has this role or any user which is having this role, anybody who is above his role hierarchy, right? So it's called a vertical sharing. That means I can set up a set of users and give them different roles, 1, 2, 3. In that case, any user who is owning these records will be shared to now these 2 people. If this guy is having any records, then it will be automatically shared to his boss, right? This guy cannot see this guy's record. This guy cannot see this guy's record. This guy cannot see this guy's record. These guys cannot see this guy's record, or these guys cannot see this guy's record or sees the record. So anybody above, they cannot see each other's records. They cannot see anybody whose record is above them. But the people who are above can see the people who are below them. Please remember that one role can be assigned to multiple users. So you can assign the same role to different users, user 1, user 2, user 3, the same role. If you assign the same role to different users, they will not see each other's records. Okay? Only their boss will be able to see. Please remember this. Any questions so far?
Yeah,
So
like, yeah. So I mean, when it is shared to the top level, so how it is like whether they can only view or edit of the subordinates, like what are the different sharing options they will get?
that depends on your. Usually, the users who have the same access as their boss. So boss has the same access as the user. But in the role hierarchy, you can configure this many things. I will show it.
Oh.
Any questions so far? This is vertical sharing. Apart from vertical sharing, there might be some situations wherein you need horizontal sharing. Like there is another team which is called HR. Now they want to see everybody's record, right? What can be done? These HR people need to work and they have to see everybody's record. That is a unique department that has the necessity to do that. So in that case, this either you have to put this above CEO, something of that sort, or you can have a special arrangement for this HR so that there is a horizontal sharing of records. For horizontal sharing of records, we have sharing rules. Okay, so this is horizontal sharing. We saw the previous was role hierarchy was a vertical sharing. This is horizontal sharing. That means either I can share one role data to another role. I can share a public group's data, or that means a group of users data to another public group. What is public group? I will discuss this. It's a group of users or roles or other sets of public groups. Okay, collection of users, simple. So you can now like sharing rules are of two types. One is ownership based. When you are ownership based, then you can select either a role or a public group. Otherwise, it can be criteria based. What means criteria based? Like, I want to share all accounts in USA to a specific role. That means it's a criteria, right? The record, a field value of that record is something which I want to look at and I want to start sharing. So that would be a criteria based sharing. That means a field value or field values are then used to define whom to share these records rather than who is owning this record. Clear? Any questions? So we have talked about manual sharing, team sharing, role hierarchy sharing, and now we have also seen sharing rules, right? Which is a defined rule through which you can share the records or bypass OWD, right? All this method works. So if you have a vertical sharing and horizontal sharing, do you think there can be a situation where you need any other mechanism to share? Can you think about a situation which is not covered by sharing rule or role hierarchy? Nobody?
If any
Sharing
external,
rule. So go ahead, Manish.
no, I mean, I was thinking like if data need to be shared with any external resource or something.
No, that you can also, external users, you cannot share records. Anybody who has access to Salesforce, they can see Salesforce records.
Oh.
Okay. If you do not have a Salesforce license, you cannot see Salesforce records. So now the situation can be role hierarchy and sharing rules can be used when you know whose record you are sharing to whom, right? That means the source and the target is clear to you. Who is the user whose record I am choosing? Who is the user to whom I am sharing? But if there is a situation where I do not know whom I will share this record, and there is a complicated rule or complex logic to calculate that and runtime for different scenarios, in that case, you have to use a programmatic way of sharing or logic-driven sharing. We call this Apex managed sharing. Let us give us an example. On my account record, on my account object, I have created a new lookup, which is a user lookup. That field is called account coordinator. Now, my logic is whoever I select on this field should automatically start seeing that account, apart from the owner, right? Owner can see only now. But owner does not want to manually add this account coordinator every time he is selecting a coordinator, right? He wants an automatic way. Whenever I select somebody on the account coordinator, she should start seeing the record. Can I do this using sharing rule? I cannot, because I do not know who the user will select on that field. I cannot use role hierarchy because there is no guarantee that I will always select my boss, right? I can select a person junior to me also, right? Or nobody in role hierarchy. So this is a logic-driven sharing, which is dynamic sharing, that will be utilized, and that is called Apex managed sharing. This can be done using flows or Apex triggers. That is anything which can be done using flows can also be done programmatically. Apex triggers is programming, but of course we are talking about flows here. So flows can be used in which you can write a logic to share the records. If there is a requirement wherein a person or a group of persons needs to see everybody's records on that object, no bypass, no logic, no nothing, then probably it is easier sometimes to give the view all permission or modify all permission. If you, this can be given using a profile or a permission set. If you give any user view all permission or modify all permission, then OWD is completely bypassed for this person. If he has view all, then he can see everybody's record. If he has modify all, he can see everybody's record and modify everybody's record. Clear? This is not sharing. This is like opening up. But it is, I will say that this is also a way to bypass OWD. There are some other mechanisms also. I will just mention them so that you understand the names, but I will not discuss this because these are advanced topics. One of the topics is territory management. You can define different territories and have their hierarchy of territory, territory 1, territory 2, territory 3, and you can assign different people to these territories, and territories can also have hierarchies. So territory management can be utilized for sharing records, but this will be only for account opportunities and this kind of records. Okay, this is for knowledge, no need to know about it. These first 6 are all that you need for your admin knowledge. Territory management is rarely used. Any very large organizations only use territory management, otherwise it is. I have never come across territory management in my life, in my Salesforce career. 1 or 2 times only. Yeah, and becomes very complicated with role hierarchy and stuff. Everything will work. Role hierarchy will also work. Territory management hierarchy will also work. Sharing rules will also fire. So it is very difficult to understand what is going on. Okay. Another thing is you write your own page. How you can write your own page? You can write your page, new page using screen flows, or you can also write using LWC, which is the latest framework for writing pages, Lightning Web Components. So you can display any data which a user cannot see right now, but you can provide it or show that information to any user. Programmatic way of doing it, right? So these are all the mechanisms in which you can show the records to non-owners. Let's see this one by one in Salesforce. Any questions so far on all the mechanisms? This class is very, very critical, very, very important. So you guys need to make sure that you understand every bit. First, we'll go to OWD. That's in sharing setting. And I will check what is the OWD right now on my account object. Public read write. That means there is no sharing. How does Salesforce keep track of the sharing? Let's see that. If I do a query on an object called account share, every object, if it is a standard object, it will have a share object along with it. So account will have account share, contact will have contact share, opportunity will have opportunity share. If you create a custom object, then it will be underscore underscore share. That object name underscore underscore share. Salesforce automatically creates this object for you. Share object. What is his job? If you do a count, you see 0 records. There is nothing there. Okay. Because right now, account is a public read only, so it does not need to track any kind of sharing. Sharing is not needed because it is a open up. But if I convert this to private, what happens? and run this query once again, you will see I have 52 records. Why? I will show that. So this is the account access. This is the account ID, and this is the row cause, and this is the public row. So let's query it. These 4 fields are most critical. So see what is happening here. What is happening is basically, if you go and see the accounts, there are 52 accounts, right? For each of this account, Salesforce is now started tracking the sharing. That means who owns what, or this record is shared to whom. Right now, Salesforce has already inserted the owner's sharing. Every owner will have a track of his account, right? So that owner's entry has already been made. So what is, he has the access? He has all access. And this is the different accounts which I have, and this is the owner. So let's see a single account and understand that. Let's go back to an account. So this Burlington, right? So I will take the ID field of this, and I will put it here and query it. I'm sorry, this will be account ID. So now I can see, I can open this up, and I will say user. It is difficult to see the name. That's why if you remove dot, keep a dot name. For using dot operator, you have to tick this, allow SQL parenting. Go back to the query. So I can see the name field now, the person instead of the ID. It is easier to understand now. Also, I can change account also name, which will be easier for us to understand. So what I am saying is that Animesh Banerjee is the owner, and it has all access, right? Everything. So I can read, write, edit, and because I am the owner. Now, let's see what is happening for manual sharing. The first type of sharing is manual sharing. Here you have a sharing button. So I, as an account owner, can search any user here, like integration user, and I can give different access to that. So let me give read-only access, and case and opportunity can be private. So let's give that access. Whenever I give this access, every time I will go back to this sharing, it will show me that, see, Animesh has all access, integration user has read-only access. If I now do a query on this, you see there are 2. So row cause is manual. That means I have manually shared this record to integration user, and the account access is read. Clear? What is account team? We talked about the second thing, right? Account teams needs to be enabled. So if you see team, search with team, you see account team, opportunity team, case team. You have to first enable them. So here you are, by the way, you are able to see my screen, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So now I am enabling account team. You cannot disable it back. So you have to enable it once and it stays. Okay. So now I am enabling account teams. I want to put this as a related list that needs to be added to different layouts. I do that. And I can define different roles if you want. So these are the default roles which they give me. So that means I can create my team and assign to my record instead. So it's a little organized way of manual sharing. Yeah, but this is only available for account, opportunity, and case objects. For this team, it's only for account. So if I now refresh the screen, I will see a account team has been created. And I can add team members. That means integration users. Maybe I have given now, he's account manager now, and I have given read-write access to this person. That's it. Yeah. What happens in the sharing? You see, in here all access, integration, and this new integration user has also come in because this has read write access, right? Exactly, that is going, you will see it in more details here. So now original manual access is still there, but now the same integration user has got edit permission using team row cause. So row cause is very important. Clear? So we have seen how manual sharing can be done. You can define your own team. So every time you don't have to individually add people. If you define your own team, you can say add default team. All the people will get added at once. Okay, so easy. So now we have seen how a owner can share his record both by team sharing and manual sharing. Now we'll see what is the automatic way of sharing that we saw. Role hierarchy, right? Let's go back to role. Here is the role. So we have to set up role. This is a default setup which we already have, CEO, CFO. You can go and change that. And you can assign different roles or you can create new roles. So like AVP, customer service, SVP, under NEB, you have different things. You can add a new role here. So this is a structure. That means if I define this role or assign this to some user and I assign this to some other user, then his record will be shared to this people automatically, right? So I can use the assign button here and define the users whom I want to share. So like this one, I can say this person is assigned here and save. And SVP role is this, and let's have assign this to integration user. Yeah. So what will happen is that if you go to the user, you can also change it from here. So if you see now, I am showing it a role, and this integration user also has a role. You can define this role here directly. You can change this here also, or you can define it from here also. Depends on, but assignment there is the better way of doing it. So here, from here. So we have assigned this role. You can edit this. Here, this is what you are talking about. So when you are having a role hierarchy, you can set up how the manager can see the different records based on opportunity case access. Manish, you are talking about this one, right?
Yeah.
So this is where we can make some modifications for opportunity and case object. That if the account is shared, how will the opportunity be shared or the cases will be shared? Yeah. You can give all access to them, or you cannot. You say that no, case and opportunity will be shared individually. Okay, so that's how it will work. So now we will go back to this is the sharing. This is the hierarchy. This is not tracked using this object. Okay. So if you query this object now, you still see there are three rows because right now integration user has an access through role hierarchy also, but we are not able to track this here. So role hierarchy based sharing is not tracked using your share object. Please remember that. Now we'll go to sharing rule. Sharing rule is again in sharing settings. Before we move to role hierarchy, sharing rules, we will define that what is this grant access using hierarchies. You will see that you cannot change this for the standard user standard objects, but you can change this for custom objects. If you create your custom objects, you can uncheck this. If you uncheck that, then the role hierarchy will not work on the records of that object. Okay, for standard objects you cannot do anything. It will role hierarchy will automatically start working. But for custom objects, you may make the role hierarchy inactive for some situations. If you want, then you have to uncheck this checkbox. Okay, so down below, we'll go back. And just under share, every object will have a different sharing rule. You see, let us see a sharing rule. Before that, we'll just see what is a public group. We talked about public group. You see, it's a group of users. That's it, public group. There is another set of group of users, which we will talk later when we'll discuss in the next class, that can own a record. Okay, that is not public group. Public group cannot own records. Public group is a group of users where the users is individually owning a record. Okay, so I will say my public group. Public group can contain other public groups. Public group can contain roles. So let me have like marketing role. Or what was the role I assigned to myself? Do you remember? I think this one, right? Customer support is VP customer support. Though this is role hierarchy, but what I am trying to show you is that how sharing rule is basically working. So this sharing role is not needed because it is automatically getting shared, but I want to show you that how it works. That's why I'm just using a first creating a public group. Inside this, I am selecting a role, or I can directly select users. Let me select a user. I will select this user. Oh, sorry. And I will select security user also. So both of them, these users I have selected in my public group. Individual users I have taken. I can take a role itself. That is also possible. So what? Now I am going back to my sharing setting. And I will create a rule by using this public group rather than role. I can use the role also. So when you are creating a role-based sharing, make sure that role hierarchy is not automatically working there. Otherwise, this rule has no meaning, right? So when will you use a public group? When will you use a role? When you have different kind of users who are having diverse kind of roles, diverse profiles, in that case, probably you will use public group. But when you are specific kind of users, data you want to share across the role hierarchy, in that case, you will use probably role-based sharing. So I am selecting my public group, and I also sharing with my public group. That means anybody's record in this public group will be shared to everybody of this public group itself. And that will be a read-only sharing. And this is what is the rule type? It is based on record owner, right? That means who is the owner of the record. So let's see, it is now calculating it, but usually it should be done by now. So I can see now there is a rule, that is the sharing rule. And through sharing rule, this record is also shared to my public group. Okay. Cool. Now we talked about what? We talked about like ownership based, programming sharing, right? Let's create a programming sharing. So on this account, I create a new lookup field with user object. And it's called count coordinate. Let's make it visible to everybody. Let's add to the layouts. That is all. So I have a new field wherein I can choose a user on account object, right? Now I want an automatic sharing to this person. Logic driven, right? I cannot create a sharing rule because if I go to sharing rule, let's go back to the sharing rule. I have a criteria based sharing also, like random. So here I can select that account coordinator not equal to blank, right? That's a good filter. But whom will I share it? I can share to a public group, roles and subordinate, but this is not the logic I want. I cannot use a user lookup to share using a sharing rule. That is a limitation through which you have to write a flow. So now I will go back to flow. And what is the flow I will write? What kind of flow should I need?
It should record trigger flow.
Record triggered flow. Why you record triggered flow?
Because when that particular field will select, then automatically it will trigger.
On the save button click, it will automatically do what? What is the logic in a record triggered flow? What should I write in this record triggered flow?
Here we can write update. Yes, update or create update.
Sorry?
Here we can update.
Update what? Just
Update
give me
on
one. Give me 1 second.
account.
Bolo. So this is going to fire on which object?
On account.
On account. That's fine. Great. It will fire on create or update, or create or update.
Create and update. Create or update.
Why create and update? Why not create? Why not update?
When means we can use here update also, but if we use create, then if we have existing record and we want to trigger at that time, then it will not trigger. So if we want to trigger this flow on updates and on creation, then we should go for update and create.
That's correct. So what we want to make sure that whenever this field is populated, be it in creation or be it when it is modified, I want to fire this, right?
Yes.
So now what would be the condition?
Condition would be that field which I have now just created. No. It should not equal to null. It should not. No.
Yeah.
First, it should fire when it should is not equal to null, or is change true.
Is change is not required, because I will show it very easily. If you say
is null false, yes,
right? That means not equal to null.
Yes.
So that means its value is filled up. Now, the problem with this approach is that every time the record is saved, this flow will fire, right?
Yes.
I don't want this to happen. So only when record is updated to meet the condition requirements.
Yes.
If you do this, then you don't need to use the is changed. Otherwise, if you add a is change condition, then you see this is blocked. This is not required. Okay. Yes. So it's the same thing. Whether you select this one or use a is changed true here, it is the same thing. Clear?
Yes.
So when this field is changed, or when this field does not when the field does not has some value, I want this to be firing.
Yes.
Clear?
Yes.
What would be the this fast or
fast field update? Fast field update, because we are updating the same object.
Updating the same object. We are updating that object to do what?
To do
the user object. Separate one.
Share object.
Yes, share object. Yes.
Exactly. So what are we doing in the share object? What will we do? Huh? What are we going to do with the share object?
Our record to that particular.
That is fine. That is a logic. What will you do here? What is the action you are going to
It
perform.
would be action and related record.
That is fine. I select this. What will you do on the share object? What operation will you do on the share object?
Retry.
Look at this once again.
Yes.
These
yes.
are the rows. What operation will you do on this table then?
Manual sharing rules.
Salesforce is using this table to track how a record was shared, right?
Yes.
If I make my own insert or I add a new record here, new insert, then it will be shared also again, right?
Yes.
So my job is just to add a new row in this table. Simple. So action and related records, because I am not updating anything. I am updating what I am doing. What actions?
Create update. No. When I update, create. It's create.
Simple. Create.
Yes.
What are we creating? Create share record. Right?
Yes.
I just only need one record. I can use separated values. Which object? Account share. What fields do I need? Account access, row cause, which account I am sharing, to whom I am sharing.
Yes.
Simple, 4 rows. Row cause. There can be many row cause, but usually we will keep this manual. You can create your own row cause also. It's a pick list value. New row cause you can create only for custom objects. For standard objects, you cannot create a new row cause. So you have to use a manual option. What is the account access?
Read only or
Let's keep read access. Which account I am sharing?
account.
Where will I get the ID?
Yes. Yes. Account ID is the record ID.
Come on, you have done all these things so far.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
record in the record.
Record ID.
Absolutely.
Record
So what is stopping you
Dot
from?
ID. Dot ID.
Yeah.
तुम्हारा सर का
Think
कॉल
fast. क्या हो रहा है? You're going slow, very slow.
है?
What else?
Now name. Row cause
How
account.
you are sharing is row cause. What would be the sharing access? That is the
The
account
name.
access. Which account I am sharing, and then what? Come on. Yeah, this is common sense. Whom I am sharing this record to, right?
Yes, usually, yes.
User.
Simple. So where will I get this from?
User variable.
Huh?
Record.
Record? Which field?
Record dot user variable.
This
Dot
one, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, user.
And this is the. There is a.
ID. ID.
This is the
Yes.
user. That's it. Let's test it. I will edit it. Oh, I will go to. I will refresh the screen. Edit the screen. What is the field? Account coordinator. Let's see if I have the security user. This is the security user. Achha. Opportunity access and record access is required. I completely forgot about it. Case access and opportunity access you have to give when you are sharing account record. That is important. This is my own row created by flow. So this is a programmatic way of sharing it, or logic driven sharing, which I can do when I have a dynamic sharing requirement, because I do not know which user to share, right? So I cannot write a sharing rule. Neither I can do this using role hierarchy. Neither I can do that using manual sharing, of course, do. Then, and this is not automatic sharing, right? So Apex managed sharing is automatic sharing. But here, you know, or you are selecting the user dynamically at runtime, right? Any questions so far? Let's see this sharing here also. You will see 5 rows here also. Security user has also come in here. Any questions so far? Now the 6th mechanism which we talked about, we will discuss that. Both you can do this using profile or permission set. So if you can go to your profile for any user's profile, like you can modify only the custom profiles, right? So my standard profile which we created last day, I can go to this object settings and you see this account. If I go and go to this account, so what are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, create, edit, read, write, read, delete. This is for owners, right? But if I give view all, that means I can see other people's record. I am a non-owner, I can see others record. If I give modify all, then I can also modify their records, provided I have this edit permission here. So if I take it out, you say the modify all permission is also gone. So cannot be, you cannot, if your profile does not allow your records to be edited, you cannot edit somebody else's record. Okay, that is not possible. So if you give view all or modify all, this profile or the users who is having this profile will bypass OWD. OWD will not be functional for this kind of users. You can use this in permission set also. But this guy will see everybody's record, not a specific kind of record. Okay, please remember that. So use this very wisely. View all or modify all permission is given to you as a system administrator automatically for all objects. That is the reason why you can see everybody's record. In permission set also, you will have view all, modify all. You can give it. Any questions? Create this flow which we created today in the class. Try to replicate this flow. Okay, and play around with the share object and try to create these fields one by one using all the sharing rules. Then it will be absolutely clear to you. That is all we have for the class. Any questions? Or else we will join back in the next class. Next 2 classes, I think, would be enough for us to complete admin. Then we'll move on to the advanced sessions of development or advanced admin, whatever is you have chosen for your courses. The team will be split. So next 2 sessions minimum will happen. The next class will be report and dashboard. We'll see that in details. And the last session would be case management. So we are moving towards the end of the course. So please buck up and try to revise anything which you are not able to understand. Come back to us quickly. Talk to Angshita. Prasoon, your job is to sit with Angshita and understand how flow works. Okay. If you are not able to understand after so many classes, then there is a real trouble. Okay.
I have completed all the trailhead module. If there is any another, please give in the.
Trailhead modules for flows you have completed?
Yes.
And did you complete admin, advanced,
Yes.
beginner? Okay, great, fantastic. In Bong Bong, you are going through the Bong Bong Academy, right?
Yes. Yes.
Trails. There, after these 3 trails, there is another module. Did you complete that one?
I have not seen that. Actually, most of the trailheads I have completed before joining this.
Yeah.
And
Did you complete this one? Certification.
no,
Configuration.
certification is still good.
Yeah. Start working on your certification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool stuff. So that is all we have. If there are no other questions, we'll stop for the week and have a nice weekend, everybody.
Thank you. Ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.